Ethan Brooks stood quietly inside the glass conference room while the rain tapped against the windows. Across the table, CEO Victoria Sterling studied the project report with a frustrated expression. This deadline was missed. Ethan nodded. I know. Victoria closed the folder. I gave you 3 weeks, and I completed everything I could safely complete. She looked up sharply. That's not the answer I expected. Ethan remained calm. I'm responsible for a team of 12 people. 2 of them were sick, 1 had a family emergency, and we discovered a serious problem with the original design. Victoria crossed her arms. I don't want excuses. They aren't excuses. They're explanations. She leaned forward. If you can't handle it, I'll replace you. The room became silent. Ethan looked at her for several seconds. Then he slowly removed his company badge. He placed it on the table. Then you should. Victoria blinked. What? I won't allow my team to be blamed for a deadline that was impossible from the beginning. He stood. I've worked here for 8 years. I've given this company everything I could. But I'm not going to sacrifice my integrity to protect a schedule that puts people at risk. He walked out. Victoria stared at the badge. She had expected an argument. She hadn't expected him to leave. Ethan returned home that evening to his 10-year-old daughter, Lily. She was sitting at the kitchen table doing homework. You came home early. Ethan smiled. Today was my last day at the office. Lily looked concerned. Did you get fired? I resigned. She thought about it. Are you sad? A little. Then he smiled. But sometimes walking away from the wrong situation is the right decision. The next morning, Ethan received several messages from former colleagues. The project had been paused. A safety review had discovered exactly the problem Ethan had warned about. The original deadline couldn't be met without risking major technical failures. Victoria immediately called an emergency meeting. The engineering director placed Ethan's report on the table. He documented everything. Another executive nodded. He warned us 3 times. Victoria looked at the pages. For the first time, she realized she had never actually listened. She had focused on the deadline instead of the people responsible for meeting it. That afternoon, she visited Ethan's home. He opened the door and looked surprised. Ms. Sterling? I owe you an apology. Ethan stepped aside. Come in. Victoria explained what had happened. I was wrong. Ethan listened quietly. I should have reviewed the technical concerns before blaming you. He nodded. Thank you for saying that. She took a breath. I'd like you to return. Ethan looked thoughtful. Under what conditions? Victoria almost smiled. You can set them. Ethan sat down. I want my team restored. Agreed. I want safety reviews to have priority over deadlines. Agreed. And I want managers to be allowed to tell executives when a plan isn't realistic. Victoria nodded. Agreed. Ethan looked at her. Then I'll consider it. A week later, Ethan returned to the company. But this time, things were different. Victoria began attending technical review meetings. She listened instead of interrupting. When someone raised a concern, she asked questions rather than dismissing it. The project eventually launched 2 months later than originally planned, but it worked perfectly. Customers praised the reliability. The board praised the team. Victoria publicly credited Ethan for standing firm when it mattered. During the celebration, she raised her glass. Sometimes the strongest employee isn't the person who says yes to everything. She looked toward Ethan. Sometimes it's the person brave enough to say no. Everyone applauded. Ethan smiled. Later that evening, Lily visited the office with her father. Victoria approached her. Your dad taught me something important. Lily looked curious. What? Victoria smiled. That being a leader doesn't mean always being right. Ethan laughed. I've been trying to teach her that too. Lily grinned. So you both learned something. They laughed together. Ethan looked around the office. He had once believed leaving was the end of his career there. Instead, it became the moment that forced everyone to rethink what good leadership really meant. He hadn't walked away because he was weak. He had walked away because he knew his worth, and because sometimes protecting your principles matters more than keeping your position. Story end.